Hello, my name is Ortez, and you're watching the Hustle Don't Stop, the Grind Don't Sleep YouTube channel and podcast. Let's go. My name is Ortez Wells. My real name is Entrepreneurial Ortez Wells. Now, you may be thinking, where did you get that name from? But everybody called me Tez for short, and even on my high school diploma, it's Ortez. Well, my dad was a Marine, and he fought in the Vietnam War, and the guy that saved his life, it was a Spanish man whose name was Entrepreneurial, who saved his life. And my daddy told him, if I have a son, I'm going to name him after you. No, I don't speak any Spanish, but that's how I got my name. I grew up in New Orleans, Louisiana. My parents, Johnny Wells and Beverly Baham Wells Criddle, as my mother is known by. You know, both of my parents were college graduates. They met at Southern University. Go Jags. They got married, and a couple of years later, after that, I was born to both of my parents. I had a good childhood upbringing in New Orleans. I spent a lot of time with family and friends. During the summertime, I would go visit my daddy's side of the family, my mother's side of the family in Ponchatoula, Louisiana, Independence, Louisiana. We would call them our country cousins. So that was always a joyous time in my life growing up. So about the age of 10, my parents separated, but me and my father still remained real close. He was very much part of my life, and I knew I was his pride and joy. Growing up, we were taught, or I was taught, because I had two parents that went to college, to go to school, get an education, and get a good job. You know, my family, we have a lot of teachers in my family. A lot of people are teachers by profession. You know, everyone went to college. Everyone worked. You know, that's what we did. And so I was on that same track of, you know, going to school. That was my thing, and to get a good job and, you know, have a family. And so I can remember growing up when my parents split. My mother went through some tough financial times, you know, just making an adjustment. You know, instead of having two incomes in the household, you know, now it was down to one income. And even though my father, he did provide support for me, but that full income was not in that household. So I can remember coming up as a young man, my mother, to make extra money on the side, she would give these Mary Kay parties. You know, all these women would come over and, you know, buy this makeup. She would give Tupperware parties, jewelry parties. I mean, she would do all these little side things to make money, right? And, you know, as a little boy, you know, coming up, you know, you hear all the women. We hear all these women in my mother's home, and, you know, I would have to go in my room and shut the door, or either entertain their children, you know, playing video games. But that was her side hustle. So that was probably my first exposure to entrepreneurship. That was kind of like my first introduction, but I didn't know that's what it was at that time. So fast forward, coming up in the church, my grandmother she would bake these small little pies and pecan candy and sell it at the church. So one day she came up to me, she said, how would you like to make some money? And of course, being, a 10-year-old, I think maybe 10 at the time, 10 or 11 at the time, I was like, yeah, I want to make some money, right? So she said, well, after church, I want you to take these pies and these pralines, and when everybody come out to church, I want you to be standing right there with these pies and pralines, and for every praline that you sell, I'll pay you a commission. I'll pay you a fee, right? And I was like, bet. So that was really my first introduction to selling. So my mama kind of sparked my head with entrepreneurship with the side hustle, but my grandmother gave me my first job, commission-based sales job as an entrepreneur. My grandmother, she was about making money, right? We used to call her the bank. Right. So I would sell these pies and these pralines, and make some money. I would go around in the neighborhood and sell her pies and pralines and, make my side little money. And then my Uncle Andrew, he said, well, nephew, let's start a grass cutting business, right? Because he would come to my mother's home and cut the grass, and then he would show me how to cut the grass. And he said, man, we could start us a grass cutting business, and we could also start us a barbecue business, because my Uncle Andrew, he loved to barbecue. So he said, I'm going to build us a grill, and we're going to go around and we're going to barbecue. And, we're going to start a grass cutting business. So, I was, hustling, trying to make some money, cutting grass, and and I would go with my uncle to, when he got any barbecue catering gigs, I would do that. And my mother and my auntie Ethel, they had a catering business and a cake making business. So I would work with them. When they got these big catering jobs, I would be a server. So coming up, even though my family worked and most of them were career people, they always had some type of hustle on the side. So fast forward, I graduated from high school, went to college. No, I didn't finish, but went to Southern University in Baton Rouge and played in the band, and went to college and changed my degree about 3 times. Started out in engineering, realized that definitely was not my lane, and then went to nursing, and then took a few, stopped going to college for a while, took some time off, and was trying to figure out my life, and then kind of went back for business. By this time, I was in that entrepreneur mindset, and so I came to the conclusion that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So like many inspiring entrepreneurs, I did everything. I did network marketing, started a grass cutting business, pressure washer business, car washer business. So I finally stumbled on insurance. So I had a guy, I was working at a job at the time, and the guy asked me could he come to my home to talk to me about insurance. At this time I was still in college, right? So I didn't really know too much about life insurance and what it was. So he came to my house, gave me a presentation, and then what really sparked my interest is not the insurance at the time, because I was still kind of young, didn't really understand, even though I bought a policy, but I didn't quite understand what's going on. He talked to me about the opportunity of selling insurance. Now, being a broke college student at the time, I was like, I think I could do this. And so my journey began as an insurance agent, and I realized that's what I wanted to do. But I didn't quite get started when the guy first approached me with it, like I said, I was still in college. I wanted to do it, but my mind still wasn't quite there yet. So after a couple of years going to college, staying in Baton Rouge, moved back to New Orleans, and the guy that came to speak to me earlier, some years earlier, I saw that company's name in the building where my daughter's mother was working at the time, and I say, hey, can you, when you get a chance on your lunch break, can you find out what time are they open? Because I want to talk to someone, because I want to sell some insurance. So she got the information, gave it back to me, and I went to a meeting that night, that same night actually, went to a meeting that night. I walked in, I clearly knew what I wanted to do. I gave the guy a money order, told him, hey, I'm ready. You don't even much got to tell me about it, I'm ready to go. So I signed up, studied for my life insurance test, passed it on the first time, and I was in business. And I threw my whole self into that business. Now keep in mind, I was still working. I was selling insurance part-time, but I came to a point where I wanted to do it full time. My mind started to shift. And what really made my mind shift was I heard or read a message from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and one of the things that resonated with me was do for self. Do for self. Black man, do for self. And so that was stuck in my head. I got to do for self. I got to do for self. I can't work on nobody's job. I got to do for self. That message resonated with me. I mean, throughout the course of my upbringing with my mother, having the Tupperware parties and the Mary Kay parties, my grandmother getting me to sell her pies and pralines, my uncle with the grass cutting business and the barbecue business, my mother with the catering business and the cake business. That was the fire, I say. That was really the fire that really sparked in me to say, I have to do something for myself. I got to the point where I said, I want to do this full time. I said, I'm going to go all in. So I came home. I told my daughter mother at the time, when we were together, I said, I'm going all the way in. I'm selling insurance full time. Everybody thought I was crazy. Right. So I set out on the quest to sell insurance, and boy, a journey it was, and still is to this day. And like many entrepreneurs, I struggled. I mean, I didn't know. I just went full-fledged in. I just stayed prayed up, read a lot of books. I mean, I read every book you could think. Think and Grow Rich. Who Moved My Cheese? Anything and everything. But the book that kind of sparked my attention is when I picked up a copy of Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice by Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. That's the book that really resonated with me, because all the books that I read prior to it was either written by white authors, which by all means they were good books, but something just didn't resonate with me. But when I read Dr. Dennis Kimbrough book, Think and Grow Rich, it really resonated with me. And so I just kept going, and I struggled, and went through some financial hard times, and like most entrepreneurs, people not really believing in you, and people telling you need to quit and go get a job. I mean, I went through it all. I tell people I don't even much like really sharing those stories, because I be trying to forget about that stuff. I don't want to relive none of that. But those things made me who I am today. It gave me the strength that I have today by going through those trials and tribulations. I tell everybody, if you're an entrepreneur, entrepreneur has two words that comes with it: risk and reward. You will take some risk. You will lose some family members, some friends. You're going to go through some divorces, houses, cars. You're going to lose money. And you're going to lose, sometimes you're going to be thinking you're losing your mind. But that's what entrepreneurship is. Entrepreneurs make the world go round, right? If it wasn't no entrepreneurs, then we wouldn't have no economy. And so I went through those phases, and something happened back in 2005, August of 2005. Hurricane Katrina happened, and I moved to Atlanta. And when I got here, I was like many people. I didn't know nobody. I was devastated. I didn't know what to do. Me and my mother had separated, and I just was going through a tough time with Katrina and everything. And so I just said, hey, I'm gonna do what I do best. So a good friend of mine, a guy I was with in the insurance business, he had started an Allstate franchise. And so I reached out to him. I said, hey man, you got an Allstate, congratulations. How can I get one, right? So he facilitated the process and put me in contact. So I got in contact with the individual I need to speak with. Told him I wanted to start an Allstate, and it was like, okay, you sure? And I was like, yes. Scraped up the money, went to I call him my uncle, but he's married to my cousin, but went to him. I said, hey man, I want to start this Allstate, can you help me out? Went to everybody I could, family, friends, everybody I could, and got up the money to open up my Allstate, and that's what kind of helped me get things going. And at that time, I truly felt that I made it. Fast forward, I sold my Allstate and opened up my own independent insurance agency, and got remarried to my beautiful wife, Naima, who has been such a joy in my life, supportive woman, and really, just been that support. Through some of the toughest times in my life, and I'm truly happy that I, met her, and and just the hard work paid off. Have a daughter, that's about to graduate from Xavier University. Currently, she has a 4.0, so we're gonna stay prayed up that she finishes with that. And, finally things, started to, look bright. And so if I had any advice to say, hang in there. It's gonna be tough. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be some challenges. You're gonna lose some things along the way, but hang in there. Hang in there. Keep fighting. Keep pushing. When you get knocked down, pick yourself back up. Keep pushing. Keep pushing, and I promise you, you will succeed. So that's my story. Thank you for taking time out to listen to me. And remember, the hustle don't stop, the grind don't sleep. Thank you. God bless.